What are, your most important internal changes or upgrades that you had to lead to get IPO ready? Especially being in the rare situation where there was foresight. What were you really excited to get in and say, okay, this is what I'm going to plan for?
I'm going to give you the most important, but not the most fun.
Fair enough.
And that's setting up the SOX controls and processes to feel confident in your numbers. It's a necessary evil, but once you are public, the rigor around your financials just quadruples. And being prepared for that, well prepared for that, is super important across all of finance in the company. Thinking about SOX as an afterthought is going to cause a lot of grief in the future, right? So I would say the most important thing is internal controls and then preparing your teams for working under a different environment where everything is being audited and reviewed versus the scrappiness you may have had as a startup.
Yeah. Cross your T's, dot your I's, change the culture.
Yeah.
Those are really, really important elements that we need to keep in mind when we're gearing up for an IPO.
Yeah.
So it sounds like obviously Klaviyo, that's the dream, right? You're coming in early, you know it's going to happen. I'm sure there's a lot of treasurers though, and you've done this where you're coming in and it's like, oh, I've got to get this thing in order. They've already IPO'd or they're just right about to, and they just hired me. Like it feels like 2 seconds before they're going to do this, and I'm scrambling.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice? I mean, I think that was your situation in your first and second IPO. So what would you say to yourself?
I would say be prepared to lean in and offer in a hand where you haven't been before. You want to be seen as that go-to person to jump in when the team needs help. It's a great time to learn new skills and areas. Like once you get the Treasury foundation set, that's first and foremost. If you're coming up to an IPO, have a diverse set of partners, understand the implications to any credit facilities you have, understand what's going to happen with cash flow and the chaos that comes with the IPO. But just also be ready to be known as the person to go to if somebody needs a hand, right? Once you get your ducks in orders, you want to be that person that can lean into anything that needs to happen for the IPO. And there's a lot that needs to happen.
Yeah, no easy feat. Is there something that you're most proud of in that work in particular over your 3 IPOs where you're like, wow, I can't believe I was able to accomplish this and that was just awesome?
Yeah, for me, it would be equity planning because many tech companies have this run of RSU offerings that have built up by the time you IPO. And what happens on the IPO is those all become real, right? They're really nothing until IPO. But as soon as they become real, there's now tax implications, there's cash implications, there's trading windows, there's what's the stock price going to be on IPO and what's the stock price going to be 3 months later. And, do we want to do an ESPP employee stock purchase program? And so I was really able to lean into some of that stuff, which is, again, something you don't barely touch in Treasury, but a really cool way to understand how equity works in a company and what the cash implications are and dilution and a lot of fun things. And so I was able to do that at the last 2 IPOs.
That's awesome. So it sounds like, hey, if you're a treasurer at a company that's thinking about going public, make sure you got all your SOC requirements in order and then start thinking about that equity because it could sneak up on you.
It will. It will. It'll be a big, big, big number. And yeah, you got to be prepared for it.
One last question, and it's kind of more of a silly one.
Yeah.
Have you gotten to ring the bell?
Oh, girl. Oh, girl. So my most pivotal time in my career, it was a dream for many, many years. And so yes, at Klaviyo in September, I was able to be there for the bell ringing. I'm not a CFO yet, but I was on the trading floor. I had Kramer behind me. I had several of our esteemed colleagues, and I was able to watch my leadership team ring the bell. And it was a highlight in my career.
Yeah.
Truly, truly a high point. I will say that the prior IPO was during COVID, and the company created a way for all employees to ring the bell by tapping on their spacebar.
I love that.
So we all rang the bell from home and felt like we were part of the IPO, but there's nothing like being on the New York Stock Exchange and like feeling the intensity of the trading floor.
Yeah, that's the adrenaline rush that I'm sure all finance professionals dream of.
Yeah.
So awesome that you've actually gotten to do that. And also so great that, you guys figured out a solution when it was COVID and you maybe didn't have that luxury at that time. So you've got to do it in every way, which is awesome.
Kind of lucky, huh?
Yeah, that's great. So obviously when you join a company that's about to IPO, that is, when times are great. It's really exciting. The company's doing really well. What are the parallels in how you coach your clients on the fitness end and then how you lead your global teams in a treasury context?
Yeah. Progress over perfection, I would say. It takes a lot of patience to see progress in fitness, right? You set a goal and it doesn't happen overnight. It takes some time to get there. I would say the same is true for building a strong team, right? You have to be able to give and get feedback. You have to push them hard at times and you have to stretch them often to support one another. So I would say progress over perfection. And, we try to fail fast in our business and avoid being slow because we're trying to be perfect. But I would say that would be number one. Number two would be proper form matters.
I love that.
I personally can give you a 3-pound weight and make it the hardest bicep curl you've ever done if you do it right and you're flexing that muscle and focusing on the right area. You don't need a 50-pound weight, right? And so, on the business side, taking the time to do things the right way, even if you have to pause for a minute and reset, is more important than just getting it done, just getting through the workout, just getting through the project. And then last but not least would be rest and recovery. I think your physical body needs rest after a hard workout, and I think your brain does too, right? When you're in that complex Excel model, you're tagging your transaction in a new tool. Sometimes you need to stop, take a breath from the spreadsheet, and create space for some rest. Avoid burnout and just allow your body to recover both physically and mentally.